It was a very pretty town. There were a lovely lot of trees. There were 700 people living in the old town at one stage and 1,600 in the surrounds. Now we're lucky to get 250.
I've got to say, this is a very mysterious and gothic setting around the edge of Lake Eucembene. It's chilly, it's foggy, I can hardly see out, and I'm at the site of the old Adaminaby township. The town was moved in the late 1950s as part of the Snowy scheme, and parts of old Adaminaby are actually becoming exposed, almost exhumed, I guess you could say. Well, now I'm heading up to the new Adaminaby, and I'm going to speak to one local resident who remembers very well the big move, and I'm going to ask her to reflect a bit on life in the old town. Right, well, just arriving at Elizabeth Eccleston's house, and this is one of the houses that was moved up from the old Adaminaby township to the new Adaminaby. Hi Elizabeth, are you home?
Yes, Richard, please come in.
Well, thank you very much. Hi, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Please sit down and be comfortable.
Elizabeth, I believe this house was actually moved.
Yes, it was, from out of town, and it was towed all the way to here, except for the veranda. They put that on after it came.
Now, did you watch the house being sort of hitched up and moved?
No, it was too wet and muddy. They got bogged on what they called Bushrangers Hill. That's not far from the old Adaminaby. And had to get out of that and then come along. It took about 3 days to get here, I think.
That sounds pretty good to me. Well, earlier on this morning I was down, it was very foggy, and I was down on the edge of the water there, but there were some buildings that were exposed. And,
oh, yes, yeah. I believe there are some buildings that have been, the steps of the Catholic Church, I believe. I went about a fortnight ago, but it's got a lot lower since then.
What was old Adaminaby like as a town?
Very friendly. Down on the flat where we were, it was a very pretty scene. It was on the side of a hill, a fairly steep hill, I can tell you. It's to walk down from the main shopping area down to the Rossiter store, which was on the level, was fairly steep.
Do you remember first hearing about this move being on the cards and how you and your family reacted?
Yes, I do. We used to have a man drive round and sell fruit and vegetables, and he told me that Adaminaby was to be drowned. I said, what nonsense. He said, well, it's on the news. He heard it on the radio. Oh, well, yes. So, oh, well, you just put up with it, don't you? You can't do anything about it. These days, I don't suppose the greenies would allow it. I don't suppose they would.
But did the residents protest at all?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, but you had no voice in those days. Now we have. You know, all those years ago, well, I wrote letters.
Did you?
Oh, yes. I wrote to the parliamentarians. Made no difference. They'd already decided long ago.
Were there other people writing letters as well?
Yes, I believe so. You can get them from the archives in Canberra.
And what sort of things would you be saying in these letters?
We'd been here for generations, and why should we move, and what was the point of it? And they weren't interested.
The Snowy scheme really started here, didn't it?
Yes, it did, yes. But it did employ many, many people who were displaced. You know what I mean by that? If you're German and you lived in Poland. Well, Poland didn't want you. You didn't fight for Germany, so you were a displaced person. So they came out here. Many of them. People used to call them migrants, but they weren't migrants. They were displaced people. But they were wonderful for the country. They brought new ideas, and new foods, and and we had some concerts. We used to have quite a few concerts, a couple of times a year in the old Adaminaby.
From what old Adaminaby was like as a town, how did the new Adaminaby compare?
Well, some people were resentful. Well, I wasn't born there, so I didn't have the same feelings as the people who'd been there for generations. And, they're not resentful now, after all these years, for goodness sake. Well, we have things that we hadn't in the old town. We have reticulated water, and that's a wonderful thing. You used to have to pull up your water out of a well or a tank or whatever. We had both. No, and the roads, of course. We had a gravel road to Cooma. Well, now it's all tarred, and that makes a big difference. And the cars are faster, so you can... I think perhaps in the early days, Adaminaby was cut off in the winter months. And some people went to Tumut, some people went to Cooma, but nobody went anywhere else much.
You were saying that old Adaminaby was a very friendly town.
Yes, well, there was no television in those days. Look, we had a children's dance nearly every Saturday, a ball on the Friday night, and then a social on the Saturday. Your evening meal was provided. You paid for it, of course, but it was... I tell you, those meals were lavish.
Were they?
Oh, goodness me, yes. I couldn't believe what I could see when first I came here. Very lavish meals. And, you had to have a new evening dress. You couldn't wear the same one too often.
How would you do that with a ball every Friday night?
Oh, no, you didn't do it that often. Not every Friday night. There were socials on the Saturday night, but they were for the children till 9 o'clock, and then the adults danced.
Did that socialising continue after the town was moved?
No, television destroyed that.
Well, Elizabeth, thank you very much for sharing some of your memories of old Adaminaby and the area, and it's nice to actually be in one of the houses that moved.
Yeah, you can have a look through if you like.
Oh, it'd be great. Yeah, that'd be terrific.
You can go through here.